My name's Stuart Arnott and I come from Mindings. I'd like you to meet Mary. Mary is actually one of our real users. Mary has dementia, she's got mid-stage dementia, and she lives in a care home in Northamptonshire. Mary doesn't really know what's going on around about. She certainly doesn't know what's happening at the moment, and she doesn't know what's coming up next. She's always anxious. Constantly anxious about what she should be doing, where she should be going, who's coming to visit her, what she should be doing. And as a result, she's really lost her confidence. She was living at home until about 6 months ago, but she just lost such confidence about being on her own. Basically, stuff happens to Mary. She's got no control over life. Stuff just happens to her. Visitors pop up unexpectedly. She gets told at the last minute she has a doctor's appointment she should have remembered. So that's Mary's life. Meet Mindings. Mindings is something that I created to help with that problem for my own personal circumstances, which I'll tell you about in just a moment. Mindings can be summed up in 4 things, what Mindings does. Number 1, Mindings helps you know what you're doing. Mindings helps you know what you could be doing. It lets you know what everyone else is doing. And also, it lets us know, and your family, friends and community know, how you're thinking and how you're feeling. I'll go through these one at a time. Now, I don't know about you, but that's a typical week of my calendar. I can't function without my calendar. I also have several other apps, and frankly, I don't know if it's somebody's birthday unless social media tells me. We all like structure in our life. I'm sure we're all the same. I know Celia sitting there in the front has a very active diary. We've all got tools and services to give us that structure to our day and to help remind us of things that are important. Imagine how confusing it would be if I took all your calendars from you. I took away your social media, took away your connection. Just imagine how difficult that would be. And now you're imagining what it's like to be Mary. So what we've developed with Mindings, and this was actually developed with one of our users. She approached us and said, the calendar you have in Mindings is really good. Can I help you make it better? To make it wonderful, make it something that my mum could really use. So this is what we developed. Basically, it connects to any digital calendar that's out there, say Google Calendar. And you can populate that with all the things that are important, with appointments, with when somebody's birthday is, maybe they're a person who likes to remember these things, when a family member's shifts are, when a visitor's going to be coming. Here's an example from my dad's one, when the fish man comes. We can actually take that data and then generate a tomorrow calendar so people know what's coming up. And also each event there is connected to a reminder which pops up on the screen to remind somebody of an upcoming event. It's actually a really powerful tool, and we've been told by users that this really helps people orientate their day, what they're meant to be doing now, what's coming up. Here's a couple of other examples that were subsequently built on that, where people have approached us and said, well, actually, that could be really useful. So, say for this example here, of here's the carer that's going to be coming to tomorrow. So the person has a visual identification of the carer who's coming, what the person's name is, and if there's any problems, they have a number to call. They even have a button to press to say that that carer's arrived, enabling you to track that. This one was literally just emailed to me last week. One of the functions that we've built into Mindings enables a user to tailor-make content and have it appear at set times during the day. This is the user's bed with a nightie, and it's a message from her daughter saying, good night, Mum, see you in the morning, love from your daughter. And I this morning just had an email from the user saying further to that, she's living in a care home, and if she's getting up in the night, she quite often gets up in the night and is prone to nighttime wandering. And the staff have quite a job persuading her to go back to bed. And she was saying she was just speaking to someone from the care home this morning, and what they say is, have a look at Mindings. And apparently that is enough to convince her, because this is her little window in the world that she trusts, that she sees it's bedtime, and that's enough to convince her to go back to bed again. It's really given her some orientation in her life. Next is what you could be doing. This is something fun that we've built and that we're trialling now. Based on, through being mobile and connected, I know what's going on in the world. I'm not short of things and invites and things to do. Even if it's just seeing a poster of what's going on, I'm looking at a website, I get messages and social media, etc. So I know what's going on, and even if I'm not doing all these things, at least I have these feelings of choice that I could do these things. So what we'll be building is, and we're working on a project with Kent Council and Age UK, is giving some people ideas about things they could be doing, because there's no better social connection than real social connection. So they're sending out messages to people saying, there's a farmer's market coming up, would you be interested in going to that? And then we're connecting them. If they respond, yes, by BuzzBus, we can then connect them to the local community bus who will then go and pick them up. Well, you can imagine the engagement that people are getting for events now when they've been offered something to do and been told there'll be free transportation later on. And then likewise, the chef at the Age UK Day Centre sending out a picture of what he's making for lunch that day, sending out a message to the Minder users in our cohort of trialists and saying, like, fish and chips today, who's up for that? And again, we'll send a bus for you. Yes, I'll make my own way. And the great thing about that is we can track all that data. We know who's saying who's going to be coming. We can then take an attendance at the event and see if they actually did come. So there's some interesting data that we are collecting there to demonstrate that these people are actually being brought into the community and participating in events. Next is what everyone else is doing. So this is where Mindings came from. We'll touch upon this a little bit later on, but this is my dad. I built Mindings originally for my dad. My dad has some disabilities. He lives 500 miles up away in Scotland, and he doesn't really do technology beyond the television remote control. I wanted to be able to share pictures of my then newborn daughter with him, and I couldn't persuade him to use a mobile phone or use a computer. So what I wanted to do was build a picture frame. So a very simple digital picture frame that I could send pictures to, and the rest then evolved from that. I thought, well, if I could build a picture frame, I could send text messages to it. My dad's had a few strokes, his memory's not so good. Well, maybe I could put a little calendar on there that I could help him with birthdays, appointments, etc. And then, well, I'm one of these people who walks about with their thumb connected to their mobile phone all day long. If I could connect him to all that social media, that would give him a window in my world and would make him feel better connected to his family and his friends. So that was where this part came from. And then, of course, I quickly discovered that I'm not unique. I'm not unique in this circumstance. There are 10 million people in the UK over the age of 65. A third of them live alone, and 1 in 5 have less than weekly connection with a friend or family member. There are 1 million people in this country at the moment who would describe themselves as lonely some or all of the time. And this is what Mindings has been doing, to help connect people to their family and friends in a simple way. I can send pictures, I can send text messages, I can share my Facebook statuses. I can even show my dad specifically where I am. I check in at an event and he gets a little badge pin there showing exactly where I am. What you're thinking and feeling is next. Mindings has been trialled. We've had 2 substantial clinical trials of Mindings so far. The first one was at Homerton Hospital in Hackney. They have a specialist brain injury unit. And we were using Mindings to see, at the time, we had an MA student who approached us who said, I'd like to see if this could help improve people's memory. And so we did a trial. We did a trial with 5 users in a hospital setting. And we actually did help improve people's memory. But the beauty of it was, and this is nice when this happens in a trial, you're looking for something and you find something else. So we gathered data, yes, the memory was improved, but the feedback that we were getting from the people themselves, from staff, from family members saying, visiting time is so much more pleasurable now because when we come in, we have something interesting to talk about. I come in and what I hear is, look at this, I've just had a picture of my cousin in Australia, or look at this nice text message I've had, from my grandson who lives up the north of Scotland. And so that was nice and unexpected, but also the family members, that's nice for them. But you're living in a specialist hospital ward, you're travelling an hour to get to. You don't want to see a person being distressed. You want to have a nice friendly interaction with them. So that was really fantastic. So that led us on to the next project that we did with East of England Local Government Association. We were fortunate enough to win a Dragon's Den competition that Cecilia headed. Now, that was a 30-person trial. There was actually 35 people. There was 2 little cohorts there. And we did a trial there connecting people who were identified by Central Bedfordshire and Cambridgeshire as being social, isolated and lonely. And we put Mindings in their home and connected to their families. So that was 35 individuals and 135 friends and family members. Now the thing is, why isn't this the core thing that I'm telling you all about for Mindings? Well, the one thing I discovered, having connected that number of people together, is families are complicated. Oh my goodness, we had some interesting experiences of getting to grips with family dynamics and getting families and friends to connect. But what was great at the end of the trial is we know we made a lot of people happy. Even just anecdotal stories of the woman who had a son living in Florida. Every morning she woke up, because of the time difference, there was a new picture there. There was a woman who, all her grandchildren lived in Germany. And so the minute they got the mobile phone app and they were connected and sending pictures all the time, that was phenomenal. But, and this was measured by an independent organisation, 43% of users at the end of the trial were measurably happier. Now, when you listen to news about clinical trials, you often hear people saying that people complied better by the end of the trial. They were doing as they were told better. We're really proud that the way that we are measured is by how many people we've made happier. Really proud of that. And the last thing is what you are thinking and feeling. Now, as I said, 2 clinical trials we've already done. We're measuring how we're actually making people happier. Now, if you saw in some of the examples there of things we do with Mindings, as well as the one single interaction, the one simple interaction that we have, is where you touch the bottom and the right-hand corner of a picture. It sends a message back to the sender to let you know that they've received it. Fundamentally letting you know that they're alive and well and interacting with the world. Well, you can imagine how that could scale in an organisation or in a care home or in a sheltered housing group, where you can send out a message to everybody there saying, hope you're feeling well today, and you get that message back. But also what we can do is we can do some more quantitative and more qualitative analysis, asking people how they're feeling. So say at the end of an event they've participated in, we can ask them on a scale of 1 to 4 how they rated it. We could ask them if they're likely to come to the next one. So there's all sorts of interesting qualitative and quantitative data that we can get back. And we can help with that. So at the end of the year, if you're running a care home and you've got a CQC report to fill in, we can give you all this wonderful, rich data about all the things they've participated in, how they've rated it, how their well-being has improved across the year. And if you're really adventurous, we can give you a link and you can go into a live page on a website and get real-time information about people in your care home or sheltered housing scheme and how their well-being is. So there you are, that's the 4 things that we're doing. What you are doing, this wonderful platform and tool to help people orientate themselves and live at home independently. What you could be doing, offering up events that people could be participating in to give them real interaction with organisations, with events that are already going on in your community. What everyone else is doing, giving you that personal connection to your family, your friends and community, giving that reassurance of knowing your family are okay and that they're sharing content with you and care about you. And finally, we're giving you a tool in order that you can measure the well-being of those people, if they're happy, if they're participating in events, and that you can use that data for your own purposes. So we call this compassionate caring from social connection. A lot of telecare devices out there are really, their paradigm is all about monitoring, control, and managing decline. And as I showed you earlier, the way that we measure our success is how many people we've made happier. And also with their family members, their friends in the community, we're letting these people know that they're okay, taking a lot of the worry away from caring for those people. And that is us. Mindings at the moment is a test bed. It's an app that's running on an iPad. It's a free service at the moment that we're running, that we're able to do small trials on. And we're hoping that we'll be able to commercialise the business. So we're looking for partners. We're looking for funding and investment in which we can take this and roll this out and scale this up. Thank you very much for such a lovely audience. Listen to my presentation. If you've got any questions about it, I'm delighted to answer them. You can see on our stand we have, we're using an iPad on which we're running an app on, and then we put it on a stand. So it runs and it sits on a shelf, or actually, in fact, a lot of people use it sitting next to the kettle in the kitchen, because that's a place that you can guarantee somebody's going to look at several points throughout the day. But it just looks like a picture frame, and we deliberately chose that format. Like from that brief from my dad originally was when I was trying to persuade him to use it. The brief from my dad was, well, it better be something I don't have to touch. So I thought, well, if we make something just look like a picture frame, and then again, that single interaction that we started off with is just touch the screen and it sends a message back to the sender. So that's what we've built. And then we're kind of developing out from that until now what we've built is this. You could either call it a social hub or just a window in the world, but that's really what it is. So at the moment, the people that we're working with are probably people who, a lot of organisations with people who have early stage dementia and Alzheimer's. So in actual fact, what we've been trying to do is completely remove the interaction at all. We don't want a learning curve of how to use this. But further down the line, so even, for example, on my dad's iPad, I've got Skype on there, so he just presses the home button, launches Skype, and he can use that. So there are further interactions we could bring down the line, but what we're just trying to do at the moment is make something that works really, really well for a tight, focused group of people who are people socially isolated and lonely, trying to live independently, and they maybe have early stage or moving into early stage dementia and Alzheimer's. And so we built something specifically for them. It actually works completely ambiently. Some of the people we're having the most success for don't even touch the screen ever. It's just literally there, it just rolls through a sequence of pictures and calendars and messages and things. and then other people have been asking for additional interaction, which we're just building as we're going along. Thank you very much.